All right, y'all. So now let's get into our next topic and let's talk about this Tom Holland tea that's been going around. So there's been rumors swirling that Tom Holland has been in the running to play James Bond, which, quite frankly, I was against that from the beginning. I'm like, first of all, every time I look at Tom Holland, and it's no shade to him, but I just feel like sometimes, I don't be wanting to typecast celebrities into certain roles, but I can't look at him beyond Peter Parker. And then on top of that, when he does play certain characters, he always looks like a little boy. So even though I know you pushing 30, but you still look like you 12. And blame it on the fact that you got youthful genes. But the reality is I didn't buy him as Nathan Drake. And when it came around, which I'm really hoping they'll make another one because I can't stand Mark Wahlberg, stupid ass. And also, I don't particularly see him as James Bond. I just feel like if you're going to do James Bond need to be somebody who's in his mid 30s. I can't see someone who is in the late 20s because I get it. Y'all want to have a character that can play the same role for maybe 5 or 6 movies because Daniel Craig played him for 5 movies. But for the most part, I don't see um Bond as I don't see Tom Holland as Bond, is what I'm trying to say. So, according to reports, they said the reason why he can't do it is because he has signed a contract with Marvel that stops him from starring as the famed character. And this is according to The Sun. So, we could take this with a grain of salt, but I do hope it's true because I don't want him to play. So we'll just go along and just give our opinions. So his contractual obligation prevents him from agreeing to any job that could overshadow his commitments with filming Spider-Man. An insider told the publication Tom can't play 2 superheroes. It just won't happen. So how come when he wasn't playing Spider-Man, he was playing Nathan Drake? That's another superhero. I mean, it's in a video game world, but that's another superhero. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with this. And there's been many actors who have been in the world of the MCU, Disney, whatever, that have played a multitude of different characters, superhero type characters. Chris Evans is one that comes to mind. So quickly comes to mind actually. So they said the insider told the yeah, he can't play 2 characters. Then it says some indications have also been hinted at in terms of the plot as it is believed that the storyline will explore the dangers of AI. Hopefully y'all handle the whole AI thing better than Tron did. The Insider continued, this is the first Bond of the AI era, and the plot is going to reflect that. Writers are going to have some fun. Well, hopefully it'll be AI, because, Bond, one thing is big about his gadgets and tech and all the other stuff, but you got Q who comes up with all the gadgets and things. And I do feel like you need somebody who's in that hybrid age, which I would say is like maybe 35, maybe mid to late 30s, where it's like you grew up in a time where it was pre-internet before internet became what it is today. Like you're aware of what life was like before the internet became this thing that some of Gen Z and or the younger Gen Z and mostly Gen Alpha have depended on, because that's the era in which they grew up in. Some Gen Zers, or I could even say like millennial, whatever, a little bit of that, because if you're gonna have him be in his 30s, he would be a millennial, right? Or elder Gen Z, whatever. Um, they kind of on the cusp of that whole situation. So you need somebody who could be in between, where it's like they are aware of AI, they're not fully dependent on AI, but they or tech, but they understand like what the world was like before tech became this thing that has pretty much taken over a lot of our lives at this point. So they said the next Bond movie has to feel bold, fresh, and relevant, especially after such a long break. And this is from the Daily Mail that was reporting this. They said they contacted Tom Holland's reps for comment. Child, he ain't gonna talk to y'all. He busy filming that movie, which I'm hearing all these different characters are in it. They just recently saw there was a Mark Ruffalo spotting on set where he had like a bloody face, or whatever. So people are like, oh, the Hulk is back and he's gonna make an appearance. I just hate the fact when people start spoiling things because they're doing these outdoor shoots. Or maybe it was intentional on the studio's part just to get us talking. Because if they really wanted to keep a secret, they would have found ways to do that. Now, they said various big name stars have been linked to the coveted role in recent years, including Idris Elba. I love Idris, but he's too old. Tom Hardy is in his is like 46, 47. I think they're gonna go younger. I like Aaron Taylor Johnson. He fits the perfect age. Jacob Elordi is a good one too. He's very tall, 6'4". I could definitely see him playing that part if he's willing to be up for the role. And then they said Harris Dickinson, who I think was in that sex movie with Nicole Kidman, right? The franchise's 26th film will go into production next April at Pinewood Studios, Buckinghamshire. Now, Stephen Knight, who created Peaky Blinders, will be tasked with the writing the storyline, and director Denis Villeneuve is set on casting an unknown Brit as James Bond. So I think that's where they need to go. You can pick some kid that you could pluck him out of, British acting school or whatever the case is, and get an unknown in it. Because here's the thing: when y'all pick Daniel Craig, I don't think many people knew who he was. When y'all picked Pierce Brosnan, he was known for Remington Steele and a couple of TV shows, but nobody really knew who he was. I think the same thing with Roger Moore. George Lazenby only did one. Um, who else? Sean Connery. I don't think many people knew who he was beforehand. So you got to pick somebody that has done a couple of things, but is not a big name that's going to be a distraction. And I do feel like, while I like Aaron Taylor Johnson, he could be a distraction. I would love a Black Bond, but um, I just feel like he's too old for the part, even though he looks relatively young. Like Black don't crack, but still he looks a little older. But I like the fact that Denis is doing this, but he's got to finish up his Doom 3 or Doom Messiah and all that other stuff. So Nate said he intends to focus his attention on the task after he completes production on Doom Part 3, which reports that the filmmaker is seeking a fresh face for the role. It also emerged that the next Bond will be male, duh, as written by creator Ian Fleming, and he'll also hail from the British Isles. However, the new Bond won't be announced until 2026, despite years of comment and speculation about the franchise's future. Well, yeah, that when they're close enough to want to start filming the movie is when we'll find out who their actor is. But at the end of the day, as I said before, I never saw Tom Holland as Bond. I don't think there were rumors that they were saying Taron Egerton, they want him in it, but I don't think he would do it either because he said on when I remember when I watched him on the Happy Sad Confused podcast that he said he's not too fond of the trappings of fame, and he likes being able to kind of get lost in the role and be incognito. He doesn't want that pressure of being like this big A-list movie star. So I don't know if he would change his tune and be like, you know what, I'll play Bond. I mean, quite frankly, I'd rather see Taron Egerton play Wolverine, even though I've heard rumors that they're still trying to keep Hugh Jackman around playing Wolverine. I was like, child, first of all, that man is pushing 60. There's no way in hell with all them human growth hormones and steroids that he's taking humans be able to keep up that body at his big age. And I feel like at this point, if we're trying to move things forward, especially with Disney, the MCU rebooting and the X-Men and all that other stuff, we need a new Wolverine. Hugh Jackman, you had a good run. We're ready to, well, I am. I'm ready to move on to somebody new. We can't just keep talking about that we want to move things in a different direction, bring in new X-Men, this, that, and the other, and you still want to keep certain characters around. It's like, no. If you want to put them in another Deadpool movie, and then you could do that. But as far as like X-Men goes, no, we need a refresh. We need a fresh start. We need a reboot, remix, change up some of the people, especially Wolverine. So I think so. Like I said, they need to cast somebody who's in their mid-30s, someone who's been around before tech has become this massive tool that we become dependent on, and how basically a super spy is able to navigate in an AI world, especially when you got all cameras on you and you trying to be a spy and not be exposed by so many things and dealing with tech oligarchs, and maybe that'll be the interesting thing that they take on. So I don't know who they should cast. But whoever they decide to cast, I just hope that it's a British actor who's relatively unknown that could definitely pull off the role. And I'll be here to see what they do when the time comes. Because I trust Denis Villeneuve, who's, as I always said, one of my favorite directors working today. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding these rumors regarding that Tom Holland is out of the running as James Bond? Because according to the trades, or according to the tabloids, I should say, because Daily Mail, you could take what they say in the Sun. You can side eye a lot of things that come from them, especially with the agendas that bigoted website Daily Mail has to say about certain people and how they love to weaponize that word woke when it comes to certain conversations regarding certain things. Um, do you believe that this story could be possible, whatever? But I'm hoping it's possible. I mean, it's true because, like I said, I don't see Tom Holland as James Bond, I think they need to go with a relative unknown. That's somebody who we could literally get lost in this character and it not be somebody that I'm going to look at and just be like, oh, look, it's Spider Man with a British accent playing James Bond, a super spy. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.